Fournier took the win last round in England, but we were robbed of a straight fight due to Holland's internet issues. His frustrations will no doubt steal his resolve, and Alex may have a much tougher rival on his hands as this series progresses. Will Suzuka hold more unexpected twists? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the PRL Open Wheel Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Suzuka Circuit is often described as a driver's track. Let's head to our track guide to better understand exactly what we're talking about. Welcome to the Hungaro Ring. Situated just northeast of Budapest, this Grand Prix circuit has racked up a stunning history in just a little more than 30 years. Welcome to Suzuka Circuit, perhaps most famous for its hosting of the Formula One Japanese Grand Prix for much of the event's history. This track sees all sorts of racing besides that. In fact, this place began as a test track for Honda, but later proved to be a driver and fan favorite for competitive motorsports as well. The full layout of the Grand Prix course steals the show, but there's actually 5 different versions that can be run on iRacing. With their lap lengths ranging from just over 2 kilometers to nearly 6 kilometers, plenty of different types of cars can suit the track. GT racing and lower-level open wheelers are quite popular, but motorcycles are also a staple here. Some of the corners have become world-renowned over the years. The S's are often cited as one of the great tests of a driver's technical prowess. Then, of course, there's Degners 1 and 2, which provide very little runoff considering their fast and narrow entry. Later on, the long backstretch leads up to the notorious 130R, which is blindingly fast. The Casio Triangle offers one last chance at an overtake if you're brave, but has been the scene of many drivers clattering into one another over the years. F1 fans will be quick to cite the infamous coming together here between Senna and Prost. However, real-life visitors will find it's more than the racing that provides some viewing pleasures. The unique ways in which the Japanese fans celebrate their favorite cars and drivers certainly capture your attention. But it's no wonder they're such fanatics, because who wouldn't be with one of the world's greatest tracks right in your backyard? Well, DJ, considering the way that the races started in the first 2 rounds and the reputation of open-wheel cars coming together here, let's hope that we don't get a repeat when this kicks off.
Well, Joe, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, but the first corner here at Suzuka is a notoriously tough corner, especially on that opening lap. It's a corner that starts very wide and then tightens up at exit, so it's very, very tricky to get right. But we can see some good passing there once the race gets up and going. In fact, that's one of about 3 good overtaking zones on the circuit. The other 2, well, that's one that favors the brave. That's going down into the hairpin. You've got to send a Kamui Kobayashi down there to get that move done. But the other one comes at the end of the longest quote-unquote straight here at Suzuka, and that's going down into the Casio Triangle through 130R. Outside of that, well, one of the reasons why everyone refers to this as a driver's track is coming up through the snake. That tricky sequence of corners going back up the hill. It's one of those things you've got to get exactly right on the opening apex or you will be off the entire time. Drivers also have a tendency to go off a little bit in the Degners, as that is a very, very tricky sequence of corners. One of the most crucial ones is Spoon. The highest point on the track. It's a double apex left-hander that you've got to absolutely nail the exit of, because if you don't, you'll be a sitting duck by the time you get to the fearsome 130R.
And there is so much to try and perfect out here, but before the drivers are able to do that, let's talk to you about how our broadcast is brought to you by ASR. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com.
It's also sponsored by RaceLab. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it for free at racelab.app.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com.
Today's event is also brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SIMMSA.net.
And finally, the PRL Open Wheel Series is brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. Let's track the performance of our drivers, of course, starting with the pros. And it is a mere 3 points between Fournier and Holland here after this second round. Jump a little bit back to Rod Clenard, who made some inroads after having his poor first race of the season. Daly and Day only separated by a single point back there for fourth and fifth. We also have the AMS Championship, which certainly is hotly contested here.
Yes, it certainly is, Joe. Christopher Richards only leading by a measly 7 points there over Johnny Luna, and from there back, it is a fierce battle with John Antonino only 2 points back of Luna and Takeshi Kita a single point back of Antonino, with Tyler Scarali only a point back from them. So 11 points separating those top five, and it is a battle all the way through.
Well, it was a good first round for the team's championship for Atomic Racing, but as you can see, it wasn't the best of second rounds, unfortunately. They slipped all the way from the lead down to fourth with that. But as we've come to expect, Delta Sport is proving to be a force, and they are leading the point sheet here with NinjaTrader Esports Pro Team on there, along with their AM team back there in fifth. So they are certainly flanking the likes of Britannia and Atomic. What about for today's race details here, DJ?
Well, it is the third of 10 rounds out here today, and as opposed to a lot of the other series we see run in the Precision Racing League, this is going to be a race of laps. Only 20 laps here around Suzuka. Open setups for these Formula 3 cars, and there may not be as many things that you can change on them as, say, a prototype or one of the F1 machines, but there is still plenty of work to go into it here. Now, these are important. The penalty points that drivers can get, the incident points, they get 13. Well, that's a drive-through, and they get disqualified at 17. But those who are good here today, they could pick up a bonus point. They could pick one up for pole, for fastest lap, or 3 incidents or less.
Indeed. And right now, the provisional pole goes to David Holland with about a tenth over Fournier, his rival currently in the championship. In fact, I'm rather impressed. All 36 cars have managed to put a time down already. They get 30 minutes, which is a little longer than what they typically have in most of the series here in the PRL. So they want to make sure with the large fields, everybody gets a chance to try and get a clean one in. And that they have. And also worth noting that Rod Clenard is up there in third. Now, he's the one that's got to try and bounce back from that bad opening round. He's already done that to some extent. Can he get himself up to the point and maybe become the third person to win this season?
Well, we ride on board with the man that Clenard is going to have to get past. That is David Holland, who's currently out on pole right now. As you said, he's got about a 1/10 advantage over Alex Fournier, and that could be very crucial. Now, the way they're going to start off, it's often a little bit of contention here at Suzuka on which side of the track is best to start off on. Just ask Alain Prost about that. But for Holland, he's going to want to try to keep that ahead, and if this battle's going to be as close as we think it could be across the season, that bonus point for pole is also going to pay off for him.
Through the S's there for a moment. We now jump over to Alex Fournier, who's pretty much on the other side of the track down towards Spoon Curve. He had his quickest lap after a long succession of laps, which we've come to expect, as the drivers tend to need to get the tires up to temperature around here, and they'll definitely need to do that today because it's only 76 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface right now.
Yeah, that's going to be very, very chilly in these cars. I don't expect the temperatures on the tires to be up to full operating window until about maybe a lap and a half into the race. The other thing they're going to have to watch out for is that 8 or 9 mile an hour wind coming out of the east. Now, there are parts of the track that's not going to affect them too much, namely when they're coming through here on the main straightaway and going down into turn 1. But when you start to climb the hill, as now it's actually gusting up to about 11 miles an hour, but as you start to climb the hill through the Snake, as well as up at the top of Spoon, that big blast of wind can shake off the downforce of the car. It can make it handle in a way you're not expecting, and so drivers are going to have to be careful about that.
So Fournier was not able to improve that time by 51.3, well off of his best, almost by about half a second there. Our highest AM, for what it's worth, is not on the track right now, but it is Juan Cofre, who did not get a chance to show what he was made of out at Snetterton as he got taken out in that first corner incident there. So he'll probably hope to have a better one as we now watch the AM driver of Ritter's. He is currently second here on our timing sheets of the AM drivers.
And Ritter's a familiar face here in the open wheel series. We've seen him in a couple of seasons. He makes his way. This is that corner I've been talking about, Joe. This is Spoon. There you see a little bit of a flick there, but this is the crucial part. Getting down onto the power, making sure the car doesn't run too wide, getting those curbs just right, and then letting the car flow down this backstretch and build as much as momentum as possible until you get to 130R. Now, in these Formula 3 machines, you should be able to take it just about flat out in clean air. But if you're running behind somebody, I think you may have to do a little bit of feathering of that throttle.
I'm sure Steve's going to hate me for bringing up this point, but he holds one of the most unusual stats I've ever seen in a series. He is one of 2 drivers currently that is in negative points. He has negative 12 because he got penalized for a big wreck at the start of Watkins Glen. He's got plenty of the season to try to make that back up. Just it was unfortunate timing that's when that all happened. So I expect he'll be able to probably be able to poke into the positive points after this round is over. We see Tyler Scarali now coming across. 13th place will stay put because that was not quicker than his 52.1.
No, it was not. And Tyler, remember, had a very active race last time out at Suzuka. A couple of really great defensive moves, including that beautiful defensive crossover going down into Wilson. Britannia iSports driver hoping to improve on some good form here. A little bit wide there going through that third part of the Snake, but he's able to keep it under him and keep going there as he climbs the hill.
Yeah, Britannia iSports only 29 points back from Delta Sport, so they could certainly use his help to rack up some more points here today as he just flicks it into Degner 1, woes it up into Degner 2, and a lot of that exit curb taken onto the AstroTurf. Looks like he must have had an off track because he pulls it to a halt. We've seen a lot of different open wheel and prototype cars have trouble with that curb out of Degner 2. Is that going to be a spot where they could potentially throw it all the way, just bottoming out?
Yeah, it certainly is, Joe. A combination of bottoming out over that curb as well as maybe hanging those left side tires over the curb and pulling them back across, and that upsetting the very typically stiff suspension in these Formula 3 machines. So that could be a big area of danger during the course of the race. As you said, we've seen that happen multiple times in real life as well. Most notably, if I remember correctly, Danny Kvyat having a big incident in that second Degner a couple years back.
I had forgot about that as we see Fournier come to the line once again. He's been on a few laps now of the tires heated up. They have. It's a 50.8, but that's not enough for pole. He is now less than a tenth away from Holland, and he's got one last shot at it with less than a minute on the timer.
Yeah, so he's got to get this lap absolutely perfectly, although able to bring that gap down to pole, and there it goes, a lazy spin there out of Fournier. The car just not gripping on the rears the way he'd like it to, and that's going to end his run out here, so he can do no better than second. Let's see if somebody else can improve, that being Michael Broomhead here, who we right on board with.
I think Holland might be done with his last lap because he's got 20 seconds left, and he isn't even through 130R. And this, as you mentioned, is Broomhead, which might get to the line in time. 10 seconds left. Remember, the line is early here on the straight, and he's through. Last lap for Broomhead. Last lap for Joseph Tebben, and David Hebert sneaks by, but Sean Duhamel finds himself done and not improving. David Holland pulls into pits. Nicholas Johnston has made a mistake in Casio Triangle, so he pulls out of the way of Raymond Day, who's going to be the next one, as we now look at Rod Clenard, the most likely to be able to snatch that pole from the 18 car.
Exactly. Able to get through 130R nice and easy. Now down into the Casio Triangle. Heavy braking zone. Big jump of the curbs there. Going down into that first part of it. Now lets the car swing out wide. Clenard trying to improve on a 151. He does, to the tune of about 0.2 of a second, but that's not going to move him anywhere.
Just 0.03 off of Fournier, so he'll have to start on row 2, but he'll be on the inside, so we'll see if that helps him out. Here we see Raymond Day, who I believe is already done with his qualifying. I think the next one to come across is going to be Takeshi Kita down in 18th, who was not able to follow up his good performance at Watkins Glen at Snetterton. Let's see if he can at least get a better qualifying here.
Well, he's certainly going to try to. It's a little bit of the old Takeshi here showing his head that we used to talk about how he was not a great qualifier, but an amazing driver. Crosses over the line, not able to improve there, so he's going to have a lot of work to do for him. Here is Byron Daly. Not sure if he is on a hot lap here or not.
Yeah, earmark Takeshi Kita and watch him as the race progresses. McDonald does not improve. We're on Kenny Brown now, and he is sitting in 22nd place, which will stay 22nd since he is not able to go quicker, which will end our qualifying because that is the last of the cars across. So we'll take it through the field here, and it is David Holland who snatches that bonus point for pole with Alex Fournier just behind him by less than a tenth. Clenard also close. There's 0.126 of a second from first to third, as Michael Coffray will start from P4. Stephen Verity will be in P5, another one that was unfortunately involved in that opening wreck back at Snetterton, as was Juan Coffray, our highest AM there, starting from 6. Stephen Ritters will be P7, as Jonathan Almanar is 8th and Michael Broomhead 9th, and Raymond Day rounds out your top 10.
Starting off in 11th, it's going to be the AM driver of Dave Peterson, followed by Nicholas Johnston there in 12th. 13th will be Tyler Scarali, followed by Johnny Luna, and 14th with Sean Duhamel and Manuel Vargas lining up behind them. In 17th position, it will be Owen McLaughlin, followed by Takeshi Kita, who we already talked about, with Cadence Presley and Byron Daly making out the back of your top 20.
That's the last of your pros. As 21st is Antonino. Kenny Brown will start 22nd, as Armando Coelho is starting 23rd. Nick Horvath in 24th. Then it is Adam McDonald's P25. Arnaud Genet will be 26. James Carter is 27th out there. Joseph Tebben having some trouble with his wheels, only able to get 28th, as Matthew Gunderson starts 29th, and 30th rounded out by Brett Barrett.
In 31st, it's Donald Olson, followed by Josh Gowan, with Daniel Barnett and Chip Michaels in 33rd and 34th. And bringing up the back of your field, it will be Tyler Gore in 35th and David Hebert in 36th.
Just a couple more cars need to make their way to the grid, and then we get going for round 3 here in the Precision Racing League Open Wheel Series. And I see our second place starter out there as Alex Fournier feels ready to go, waiting for David Holland to line up next to him. As I mentioned, we didn't get to see them race each other, mainly because David Holland had his internet crap out on him, and unfortunately, he just had to settle for a 29th place overall, as we're still missing quite a few, including that pole sitter. Looks like fifth to seventh are all missing out there right now, so they're taking their sweet time. Now we're getting a few of them down, and it looks like Holland has got himself ready to go. The reason we're making such a big deal out of this is they only get 2 minutes, and if they miss that 2-minute mark, then they have to start from pit lane, and there's going to be a lot of cars to pass here in Japan. 10 seconds to go. Coffray and Ritter still not showing their faces. This is going to be a very tough one for them. If that winds up being the case, there goes the 2-minute mark. So The engines now start to rev as the lights come up. And the green flag is out. It's a good start for Holland. Decent start for Fournier. Looks like Coffret might have something for Rod Clenard into the first corner. But he starts to back out of it as they swing into the double right-hander behind them. Someone spinning and going off into the runoff. Someone losing their wing as well. It looks like, other than that, I think we managed to get everybody through.
I think you're right, Joe, and that appears to be, from what I can tell, maybe Owen McLaughlin down there in the back, or I'm not sure exactly, but one of the teal cars. As we continue to snake our way through, got another car off in the mid-pack. That looks like potentially Antonino having a problem there in the S's. So a little bit of craziness here, but nothing affecting our leaders thus far.
Adam McDonald and Joseph Tebben were the second incident there into the S's. A few people certainly taking a wide exit off of the second Degner, but David Holland has himself half a second clear ahead of Alex Fournier, who's on defense instead right now. That's Clenard still applying a fair bit of pressure.
Yeah, Clenard really trying to put the screws to him here in the opening laps, trying to get those tires up to temperature as well. Track temp still only 77 degrees. Clenard looking like he's got a decent run going into Spoon, but that's not an easy place to overtake. Now he's just got to follow in that aero wash. There you can see him poking his nose to the inside of Fournier, just getting a little bit of clean air to get the run out of the corner, and here comes Clenard.
Got a great slipstream. He's going to poke his nose to the inside. 24 is through, and big lift there, unfortunately, for our third place driver of Raymond Day there, of Alex Fournier. So he had to get out of it, and behind them, a lot of battles for position. This is for 8th spot. Ooh, and Johnny Lula just went off in the Casio Triangle. Looks like he's gotten back on and is rolling.
Yeah, he just pulled a little bit of a Senna and Prost there and just went to the escape lane. Some good action there in the back. That is Johnston and Almanar duking it out a little bit as they dive down now into turn 1 for the second time. Still side by side, trying to hold it out the best they can. Little bit of a run wide there.
Whew, things getting tense here as drivers are vying just simply to crack into the top 10 of this huge field of F3 cars. Climbing the hill, up and across the S's. Things are going to straighten out a little bit for a brief moment after Dunlop Curve. But I think it's time for us to take a look at the replay here of the opening incident. It was Juan Coffret. He did take the start. Not sure why he wasn't showing up on my timing screen. Oh, as there was a spinner. That was Kenny Brown.
Yeah, just losing it on the exit there of the Dagners, as we talked about, such a tricky corner. But I think we're ready to check out that replay here, Joe. This is that opening lap incident.
I didn't catch who made the contact with Coffret, but the 91 did get a little bit of a touch from behind that spun him around. So 2 races in a row where the first lap just did not go well. What if we could watch the back view to see if we can see who touched him here? There we go.
Yeah, there it is, looking out of that rear wing. Waiting for the lights to come on here. Ready to go.
I think Cadence Presley got into an issue in live time. We'll try and check that out in a little bit. Waiting for Coffret to get the green flag here as the Chili Verde machine is getting ready to take off. We're finally revving the engines. Here we go. Now, initially behind him, I can't quite see the number. It looks like the 27, I think, as well, next to him. Is it the 27 that makes contact? It is. That is Steven Ritters. Ooh, he's already in trouble with the stewards from round 1, so let's hope that he isn't getting a further penalty out of that one.
Yeah, let's hope indeed, as Coffret was forced to take a tow there. That rear wing pretty much completely destroyed. Riding back on here, looking at the rear wing of your leader, David Holland. He's been able to grow the gap back to second place to about a second here. Rod Clenard just trying to close in the best that he can.
Let's not forget that Rod and David are teammates there on Delta Sport. As, well, we had another incident. Joey Tebben, I think, problems with his wheel that he was telling us about pre-race. Unfortunately, no, it wasn't. He had contact with Tyler Gore, it seems. So, man, it's just been a bad day all around for Joey. We watch now the Delta Sport duo out of Spoon Curve, and Fournier just behind them by about 1.2 seconds. They're going to put a lap on Sean Duhamel now.
Yes, so that was not a pass for position. Duhamel doing a good job to just stay out of the way there of the leaders. Holland still controlling this race, although the gap has come down to about 0.8 of a second.
Taking a lot of curb into the Casio triangle, but the car looks nice and smooth. Oh, and somebody's spinning there. That is Duhamel. Duhamel is off.
No, that's Fournier.
So two cars spun independently of each other, and Fournier's beached. He's stuck. He can't get the car rolling.
Oh my goodness gracious, an absolute heartbreak here for one of our title contenders. Let's watch on this replay. Fournier takes a big jump at the curb coming into Casio, lets it run a little bit wide. I think he may have bottomed out a little bit on that exit curbing, Joe, and just tried to get the power down and the car wasn't responding.
Don't know how he got stuck. This is from Alex's view, and you saw Duhamel spinning behind him as well. I wonder if he bonked that suspension the wrong way and just broke the drive shaft of the car, because the wheels can detach and do all kinds of unfun things. So it was started by a spin, but why couldn't he get going here?
I think it may just be a little bit of the crowning of the track. He had to reverse it there to get the car back off of the racing line. And Joe, what happened is he just beached himself there as the track kind of crowns away at the edge there to allow for runoff. And he just found that out the hard way.
That's bizarre. I've never seen a car get beached there. I've seen plenty of other places where curbs exist, but not just a regular old side of the track like that. And that is incredibly demoralizing for him, I'm sure. As we come back live once again, Holland ahead of Clenard now by 1.1 second. Michael Coffray is the one that inherits third, but he's a full 2.5 seconds behind the leading pair.
Yeah, certainly getting pulled back there a little bit. Well, we're going to jump back here. This is a little bit of a battle starting to shake up in the mid-pack. Very close trailing behind there.
Now that's Takeshi Kita with Tyler Scarali trying to give chase. Remember we said, watch Takeshi Kita. We're only on lap 5. He is up 6 positions. This might be 5, though. Pretty soon there goes Scarali down to the inside. No defense from Takeshi. Yep, Samurai's just going to let him go for now.
Yeah, just try to hold that line a little bit on the outside, do a little bit of a Kimi Räikkönen-esque move going into the first corner, but not enough momentum there for Takeshi to really get that done and dusted. So now Scarali's going to set his sights ahead of him, and he's got some good news because there is a battle going on up there between Raymond Day, Dave Peterson, and Byron Daly and Jonathan Almanar. They were scrapping a little bit going down the main straightaway, and so if they continue to do that, I think that's going to open up an opportunity for Tyler Scarali to be able to catch up very quickly to these drivers.
Yeah, it's Day that you can just see in the distance at the front of this group. They've all kind of spread apart since the little fun that they had on the front stretch, getting awful close to the gearbox of that blue and yellow car of Scarali. Takeshi Kita's not letting this go quite yet. Let's see if anybody pokes her nose into Spoon, as Johnny Luna has had an off, and Antonino also having some issues. I think this might be 2 separate things happening.
Yeah, it's 2 separate issues. We're going to jump back to check out the replay here, Joe, as that was Johnny Luna. You were rejoining the track. But, all right, so that's Luna just spinning it on the exit of the hairpin, losing it there, and then getting it back around. And it looked like Antonino may have just spun in sympathy. Not sure if there was any contact there.
He's lucky he didn't beach or hurt himself. Watch how he launches over this curb trying to get out of the way. Ugh. That has to have hurt either the floor or the front wing of that car.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any cosmetic damage to the front wing, but that doesn't mean that it's not there. And as you said, the floor damage can definitely affect it as well. These Formula 3s not necessarily having the massive amount of ground effect that we would expect in something like the Lotus 79 or indeed the new generation of the IR18 IndyCar, but there is still a little bit of downforce generated by the floor, and if you damage that, you can really feel that effect.
The car we have on screen here, Byron Daly, just made the pass. Excuse me, this is Peterson behind Byron Daly that we're focusing on. But Byron, another one, just making leaps and bounds on everybody. He's gone from 20th to 9th already.
Yeah, Byron's having a really, really good day out in that 06 machine. Oh, is behind him. We're side by side going down into the hairpin between Almanar and Scarali. That's Almanar to the inside, Scarali to the outside, trying to carry momentum around. Can Scarali make it work? Yes, he can!
Great stuff. A long way around to the hairpin. And the 02 can maybe size him up coming out of Spoon. Let's stick with this. If they do start fighting, let's not forget, that's Takeshi Kita back there in P13.
It is indeed, and Takeshi knows that if there is a mistake to be had here, he'll be the one to pick up the pieces. Good exit, it looked like there for both Scarali and Almanar. Almanar now going to just tuck up behind in the draft of that 21 machine. He is gaining as they get ready to head into 130R.
If he can stay close enough, he could outbrake him. Heading into the Casio Triangle now. He's close, but he isn't willing to try it. So Almanar is going to stay in line. But they're all dragging each other right up to that rear wing.
A little bit of hobble there from Tyler Scarali. This could open up an opportunity for Jonathan Almanar. And indeed, Scarali being a little bit defensive, going back to the racing line. They're going to be side by side down into turn one. That is Almanar on the better line. Scarali trying to carry more momentum. And indeed, he looks like he is. Is he going to be able to hold the line out of the corner? Yes, he is.
High, wide, and handsome Tyler Scarali today, apparently. My goodness. So 11th place retained. He started 13th, so he's facing off against drivers that should be pretty comparable in terms of pace. This is some mighty stuff from that number 21 car.
Indeed, it is a great run for Tyler, and you can really see that he just has that. Oh, that's a mistake from Nicholas Johnson up ahead.
A big mistake. He has got serious damage. I don't think he can drive that back to the pits. He's trying his hardest to, but this is out of Degner 2. We're going to look at the replay. See, on his own, doesn't look like anybody's near him. I'm going to guess he beached it on the curb here. It's an easy thing to do. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, what a helpless feeling to just spear straight into that barrier and see it coming right at you.
Yeah, it is one of those problems when you get off into that kitty litter. You're trying to either slam on the brakes or dab the brakes to keep that momentum down, and you can just feel it going away. It's a helpless feeling, Joe. But we jump back here. This is Dave Peterson looking like he's starting to gain a little bit of ground on Byron Daly ahead of him.
Daly is probably in no mood to give up any more spots now that he is into 8th after, I think, Nicholas Johnston helped him inherit yet one more. So 12 positions gained in only 7 laps, almost 2 per lap average here for the 06 car. A little bit of a poke there from Peterson, but nothing serious. He's way too far back. And Jonathan Almanar is in pit lane for some reason.
I'm not sure, Joe. That should be the very beginning of our pit stop window. So he may be looking to do a little bit of an undercut or an undercut. I know how to use words. An undercut here, as he's maybe hoping to get out in some clean air potential.
No, I don't think so. I think he must have got some damage. I wonder if he had to replace the nose. It was a 15-second stop. Usually we're looking at 4 to 7 seconds for most pit stops in the F3 cars. So I think he is unfortunately having to take that stop unscheduled because of some needed repairs. Meanwhile, look at the difference between Holland and Clenard. Rod has been pretty close to the front for much of the season in terms of pace, but he certainly doesn't seem to be hassling his teammate.
No, it really and truly looks like David Holland just has this on lock, being able to pull away here in the middle stages of this race. So big kudos there to David Holland. I think he knows for a fact that one of his big title rivals in Fournier has had some problems, and he can pick up a big points haul.
Absolutely. And the team's championship really does mean a lot to these drivers. It's perhaps tougher than getting that driver's championship just because you need everybody to do their part. Right now, the Delta Sport team is doing just that. As we watch this fight a little bit farther down, vying for 7th, Raymond Day, Byron Daly, and Dave Peterson.
Yeah, we've seen this battle stagnate a little bit over the last couple of laps, but Dave Peterson's poked his nose this way and that on Byron Daly. Now, what does make this interesting is this is 2 pro drivers leading an AM driver, so Dave Peterson here punching above his weight and trying to get by Daly.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out that I believe, this is both drivers in the Ninja Trader Esports Pro team here. So another good points haul for some of our teammates here up towards the front. That's Day and Daly. That's going to get confusing, I'm sure, who are sitting in 7th and 8th respectively. This is in the AM category here, being led by James Carter, Daniel Barnett, and Nick Horvath giving chase. In fact, Nick in that 382 breathing down the neck of Daniel Barnett until he backs out before they hit Degner 1. Little look into Degner 2 from Daniel Barnett, and then he decides against it.
I love what Horvath is doing here. He's not necessarily going for overtakes left, right, and center, but he's just throwing his car around a little bit, trying to fill those tiny rear view mirrors of Daniel Barnett ahead of him. It's a very smart move. Barnett there, you can see, trying to maybe figure out a little bit of the slipstream to Carter in front of him. Now Horvath having to back off a little bit through Spoon, but I think he's able to get a better exit. Yeah, there he goes. That's running a little bit wide. There is Barnett, and here comes Nick Horvath.
He's side by side, coming up the backstretch towards 130R. He's got the inside, and Barnett has been cleared, so they're going to get in single file as they fly through the turn. Will Barnett try and fight back? Nope, he's gone too far behind at this stage into the braking. Next on the list for Nick Horvath is James Carter. Now, is former President Jimmy Carter into racing? Because James also hails from Georgia here, so I'm suspicious.
Well, we'll just have to ask him if he's a big fan of peanuts here, as Nick Horvath now makes another big move there on James, maybe Jimmy Carter, down into turn 1. Able to get it done and get it back under him. Move Horvath up into 19th.
Wow, Horvath is on a charge for sure. That's 2 spots in 1 lap that he's been able to rack up. He's going to have to go past some lap traffic. It's Chip Michaels. No, excuse me, that is for position, rather. That is Michaels in 18th in front of him. So he just has to go about 9/10 up the road. And he's got another one. Meanwhile, we are now looking at 4th and 5th place. Ritters holding off Stephen Verity. Ritters is our lead in AM.
Yeah, Ritters is indeed, and Verity started to poke his nose this way and that on that dark red Canadian liveried machine of Ritters. Here comes Verity. He's got a big head of steam coming down into 130R. Not probably going to poke his nose here, and indeed he's not. Takes a little bit of a wider line, and there's the move. Verity down to the inside, almost a little bit of a hip check. He's going to be on the long way around, coming through the Casio triangle, looking for a little bit of an over-under here. Is he going to be able to get the run coming onto the pit straight?
He might. He's close enough that he'll feel the slipstream. Verity riding right in the tire tracks of the Canadian. As Ritters doesn't defend, he's going to let him to the inside. Will he get the job done into turns 1 and 2? Ritters tries to fight back, almost made contact. Remember, he did that on lap 1 with Juan Cofre. Thankfully, that didn't happen again this time. Ritters, by the way, only finished 22nd last round at Snetterton, so he really probably wants to just bring this one home.
Yeah, for sure. And that was, I think, just about the right amount of defending there. He didn't give the position away too easily, but didn't also just fight tooth and nail on it, because he's also got to worry about Michael Broomhead there coming up behind him. That is that deep blue machine. Oh, that's Verity with a big slide out of Degner too.
Oh.
And that was Broomhead that clipped him.
Oh, no. I think that's one of the Delta Sport machines, Broomhead. So let's take a look at the replay. Both of them definitely look like they got damage out of that. Here's Verity. He was already wide at the first apex. Oh, wow. And the rear just starts to come around, and he didn't do anything wrong there, I think. It just was a bad situation all around.
No, I'd actually say Steven handled that just about as perfectly as you can. He held the brakes, he wasn't moving, and that presents a solid object for drivers to try to get around. Broomhead just had nowhere to go. So there you can see he's already losing it in there. That's a result of just carrying a little bit too much speed, putting a little bit too much input onto the wheel when you're trying to brake. There you see him. He's got the car pointed forward, goes straight here, and yeah, just nowhere to go for Michael Broomhead.
And correction for myself, he is a Britannia iSports driver, is Broomhead, and Verity pulled it off track and parked it sadly. Man, well, Steven is still looking for a decent finish because he DNF'd last round as well, I'm pretty certain. We look again at fourth place with Steven Ritters, now ahead of Broomhead instead, but only by 0.8 of a second. We don't know how much damage the 5 has from that incident. It looks like Armando in the 19 coming to take a stop. I can report that Vargas had a scheduled stop. He returns in 22nd position.
Yeah, and those drivers just breaking the race in half there on that pit stop strategy. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Normally what we tend to see is drivers going as long as possible around here. I don't anticipate any tire stops, but this is a little bit of a good battle in 15th. This is Carter and Gowan.
Carter's kind of slipping backwards a little bit, but I guess that's to be expected. He started 27th. He's currently in 15th. And behind them, I think Kenny Brown once again went off the track. This time he didn't hit anything, though.
Yeah, able to just get off into the kitty litter. Looked like there that Josh Gowan may have had a little bit of run coming into Degner 1, but that's such a tricky place to overtake. A better run out of the corner there for James Carter's going to be able to get himself a little bit of breathing room to that number 8 in back as they work their way through the hairpin.
Okay, halfway through this race, as we look at Raymond Day here in 7th. When will we see more drivers duck in? Well, Rod Clenard has decided it's time to get on pit lane. He is down for service. This is Byron Daly just ahead of Raymond. Pretty sure that those positions were reversed when we last looked at them, so I'm not sure when this changed around.
I'm not entirely sure either, Joe, but there may have been a little bit of communication over the radio. Remember, these are teammates, so it may have been an issue of Byron is faster than you. Can you confirm?
Let's hope it didn't come down to that. And Rod Clenard back out, and he'll return in 11th, but unfortunately in lap traffic. Well, not lap traffic, in with cars that haven't pitted. Owen McLaughlin just ahead of him. We're hearing that Daly was fast on lap 11, I believe. Yeah, his quickest was a 52 flat, so I wonder if that was when he decided to go through or was allowed to go through by Raymond Day. Tyler Gore, now our latest pitter on the lane.
And so you're seeing these drivers coming in later and later in the race, some of that being dictated by the ability to come out in clean air, run some clean hot laps. And as I was saying earlier, I don't expect any of these drivers to really take tires here at this point. Suzuka is not known as a super abrasive surface, and with as cold as these track temperatures are, it's still only 79 degrees Fahrenheit out on track. You do not want to have to spend the extra time and use the extra effort to get a new set of tires up to temp.
We've had another casualty. It's the number 19 of Ramondo, and he just had a spin in the S's. So the snake bites once again, and Holland is in. Our leader has pitted. Is this in response to his teammate Rod Clenard, who just managed to overtake Owen McLaughlin? Looks like a lot of drivers coming in, so this might just simply be the end of the pit window.
Well, Ritters, Broomhead, and Daly all looking like they are able to make it an extra lap, as is Takeshi Kita at this point. So this may be a little bit of a strategic call there from certain drivers for them to come on into the pits. We look here at that is the number 18 of David Holland, who we anticipate to retake the lead. There you see the pit comparison. Holland able to be a little bit faster in the box.
But it made a huge difference because Clenard is now, I think, about 5 seconds behind him. Some of that may be down to the traffic that he had to deal with. As well, I thought I just saw a car spinning off, but I couldn't quite find it now that they left my screen, so I'll check in that in a little bit. We've seen a lot of cars off today, so it wouldn't shock me all that much. Just waiting on Ritters, Broomhead, Daly, Kita, Goen, Luna, and Brown to pit.
Oh, there's one of those cars you just mentioned, Joe. Josh Gowen off, coming up through the S's. We'll check out the replay of this. This is him coming up towards the top of the hill, I believe. Carried a little bit too much speed into that final part coming up through Dunlop.
Almost looked like the curb maybe upset him a little bit on the inside of the car. It was tough to tell from that angle. As we come back live now, he is at least able to keep rolling. Now, we're going to look at Byron Daly in the meantime, who sits in third. But he is pitting, as he touches the grass on his way in. He's going to follow Broomhead along with Ritters, which means Holland will inherit the lead back.
Yeah, and Takeshi Kita also coming in. So there you can see the actual gap out on track. That is Holland back to his teammate of Clenard. So yeah, Joe, I think that was a combination there of just a little bit smaller of a stop for Clenard combined with coming out into dirty air and into traffic. You can see why it is so crucial to get out quickly.
All right, they're cycling around to post pit stop order, and it looks like Holland, Clenard, Coffray, Michael Coffray, by the way, your top three here at the later stages of the race. Steve Ritters is your highest AM, and he's all the way up to fourth.
Yeah, Ritter's doing a great job. There's Takeshi Kita coming on out of the pits. Takeshi is up 9 positions on this race. He's got a nice little bit of breathing room here. He's about 3.5 seconds behind Dave Peterson in front of him, and he's got about 1.5 to 2 seconds on Tyler Scarali behind him.
Just got to get to the end from here. What about Broomhead, though? He wants that AM win, I'm sure. But Ritters might want it a little bit more. It's impressive what we've been seeing out of Michael Broomhead. I'm going to guess that he didn't actually have damage from that incident he got involved with Verity, because I see a regular pit stop of about 4.5 seconds, which is mildly faster than Ritter's pit stops. And he's kept the pace of the car, so the 5 maybe just lucked out.
It very well could be, Joe. Looking at the way that impact happened, I almost wonder if it was a bit of a side hit that happened with the tire rather than that front wing. iRacing has done such a good job with getting the physics of the front wing and the way that they break away and the way that they break off, that I've got to think that maybe that's what happened there, that it was just kind of the right front tire that grazed Stephen Verity and not the wing.
I think that might be the case. Behind them, it's also closing in for 6th place. It's Daly versus Day. That's actually 2 pros, so definitely valuable points on the line for this pair.
Yeah, indeed. And remember, these are the teammates that we were following for the Ninja Trader Racing team as they dive down into the corner. Remember, Byron Daly able to get by on about lap 13 as they now work their way up through that first corner. It's now a little bit of a waiting game, I think, for Raymond Day. He just wants to keep in attacking range of his teammate, maybe see if he can force a little bit of an error. And that is to say, if they are not in communication with each other.
Daly just made a little bit of a mistake. Even with that, though, I wonder if Day is somewhat disheartened by this development, because remember, Daly started this thing in 20th. He's up to 6th, whereas Raymond Day has only been up 3 positions in the same amount of time. So Daly's outpaced him and passed him in the process.
Well, and I will say that Byron Daly does have about 0.2 of a second faster overall lap, faster best lap than his teammate does. So he's certainly got the pace within that number 06 machine. But as we've seen at Suzuka, one little bobble can get you off. Almost looking like he was having one there was the 77 of Raymond Day coming up over into the spoon curve, just catching a little bit too much of the inside curving.
Well, another one bites the dust by getting into the dust. Owen McLaughlin smashed it into the barrier, coming into Degner 2. He's taken a tow. I think his day is officially over at this point. Only 4 laps left, so he'd have to have some major repairs as the Ninja Trader Esports Pro team continues to put a pressure cooker on, and so does the fight for 4th and the lead for AM. We must remind our viewers, between Steven Ritter's here in the gray and white car and the blue and pink of Michael Broomhead.
Indeed, and thankfully we're a little bit spoiled on this, because these are our 2 best battles on track right now, the Ninja Trader battle and this battle for the lead of AM. It looks like that Michael Broomhead is able to get a little bit better of a run through the end of Sector 2 and into Sector 3 on this track, but he's falling back a little bit through the first sector, coming up through the S's and through Dunlop. There you can see him falling back a little bit, that gap growing to about 0.8 of a second. He had it down to about half a second, 0.4 of a second going into the Casio Triangle on the last lap.
By the way, in case our viewers haven't checked out the tower on the left-hand side, the pace of the Delta Sport cars is something else today, because Holland leads by almost 6 seconds over his teammate Clenard, but even Clenard is a full 13 seconds ahead of 3rd place Michael Coffray. They've stomped the field today.
Yeah, they really have, and it's hard to tell if that is a sheer talent thing or if Delta Sport just has a little bit of a setup advantage here. But either way, they are putting a demanding pace down. Watching
just over the shoulder of Michael Broomhead, they overtook some lap traffic. I think that was, our Armando there in the 19. And Steven Ritter's in front of him has a gap now. It's up to 0.8 of a second, just a little too small up ahead to really offer an opportunity to try and pass. He's going to have to close that down here in the final 3 laps. Ooh, and Almanar's got some fun.
Oh, a little bit of commentator's curse there. Jonathan Almanar trying to make a move going through Spoon and finding that move just about as easy as Sebastian Vettel found it a couple of years ago. It's very, very hard to go too wide through that corner.
Yeah, spun to the inside. Thankfully, there's an access road to just kind of peel out and get back on the track. But he falls to 14th because of that mistake. So, ooh, and Day, just as we looked away, has suddenly found some inroads on the 06.
Indeed he has. He is all over the back of his teammate now as they climb the hill. You can see, is that a little bit of a brake lock up there from Byron Daly in front of him, maybe feeling the pressure from the 77.
And remember, they don't want to wreck each other out here. Just wants to try and get past them without costing either of them too much time. They've got a great finish with 6th and 7th on their hands that should certainly help them in the team's championship. I need to check out to see. Yeah, they're chasing Delta Sport, so they need these points. They can't lose any more spots than what they've got, because Delta Sport holds a 1-2. They're going to pull away today.
Yeah, they will, and so I think they're not going to want to really do much, and there's not really much to gain necessarily here as we're getting set here for 2 laps to go, as the drivers ahead of them are Ritters and Broomhead, and they're about 2.5 seconds up the road. There you can see them. There's not looking like there's an outright pace advantage for Raymond Day, so I think it's probably best if there is a little bit of team communication and telling those Ninja Sport drivers to just keep in a straight line.
Credit to our drivers. As many incidents as we've seen, we still have 28 runners out of, actually, no, make that 29, because I think Joey Tebben got back out on track. out of 35 starters. Not too bad. It could have been so much worse with how many drivers have either found themselves in the barriers or facing the wrong way. However, the pace has been so immense that we're down to only 22 cars left on the lead lap.
Yeah, and some of that traffic was playing a little bit of havoc with these two battles we were looking at in particular. You can see the lap comparison of David Holland just continuing to pull away from P3 there, just by tenths and tenths every single lap. Watching here, Michael Broomhead, though, hoping he can claw his way up, bridge that about 0.8 of a second advantage that Steven Ritters has in the closing lap and a half.
Yeah, but lap 16 and 17 there on that said that he was more than a second quicker than Michael Coffret on those laps. This is just astounding. And we've been keeping an eye on all the drivers behind Michael Coffret because they haven't been close enough to try and challenge the 14. It's about 5 seconds back here to Steven Ritters, who has Michael Broomhead filling his mirrors for multiple laps at a time now. And then, of course, we've mentioned Day and Daly quite a bit. But I think, yeah, white flag going to be happening in just about a few seconds' time.
Indeed it is, Joe, as we ride on board with your untouchable leader here today. David Holland for Delta Sport crosses over the line. Barney waves that white flag for him. So one lap here to go at Suzuka.
He won in the first round at Watkins Glen. His teammate ran into some trouble, and so he had clear sailing to try and get that victory. This time, Rod Clenard did not run into the same trouble and is still within touching distance, but unable to phase him. Byron Daly got kind of close to Michael Broomhead. Wonder if that was from the traffic. You can see him going by Manuel Vargas in the 22, and he's going to let both of them through. Great heads up there from him.
Yeah, that was really, really good from Vargas. Not sure exactly what allowed for Daly to close in so close behind Michael Broomhead, but he is close indeed. So this is a battle of pro versus am. Daly here seeing if he can maybe snatch just one more point away and keep that gap to Delta Sport down as much as possible. Only has about a half a lap to do it, though, and really only two good overtaking zones in order to get that done.
That's going to be a tough ask, but you can't give up, especially in this series. You got to push all the way to the end just in case something happens. And we continue to watch them as the 5 still has that 0.5 of a second mark over Byron Daly. As that's happening, the 18 is already coming up to 130R. David Holland has had smooth sailing the whole way today, at least as far as we've seen. Into the Casio Triangle, the Delta Sport driver will lead a 1-2 victory here today in Japan. David Holland is your winner here at Suzuka for round 3 of the Precision Racing League Open Wheel Series.
Oh, and Broomhead's had an issue. Broomhead has had an issue coming out of Spoon. That's going to cost him a bucket load of positions, Joe.
So the Britannia driver has spun it out. It was all his own doing, I can report. I'm not sure if we'll be able to get the replay, but yeah, he just cracked under the pressure. Ritters is going to get 3rd with Byron Daly promoted to 4th. Did something happen to Coffret? Michael Coffret was supposed to take 3rd. Did he run out of fuel?
That's what it looks like here, Joe. Just super, super slow coming out of 130R. I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm listening now. We're going to show the replay, I think, of Michael Broomhead. But yeah, Coffret sputtered to the line, gutting after that was going to be a phenomenal podium for him. And there is the unforced error from the Britannia iSports MRM car. Coffret did settle for P5. Let's see. Let's listen in. Let's see exactly where it starts to happen. It looks like here.
Yeah, it's just coming out of Casio. And you can see how much he was really trying to feather that throttle going into the corner, recognizing how low he was. And Steven Ritters just said, "Thank you very much. I will take that podium away from you."
And as an AM as well, that's a great achievement considering how the first 2 rounds went for Steven Ritters. But that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced SimRacing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-Box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware, and that's why we want to create something that's really going to reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us if you have any questions. You can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process, and let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
Welcome back to Suzuka International Racing Course. Round 3 in the Precision Racing League Open Wheel Series saw David Holland take his second win of the season. This time, his teammate was able to follow him home in P2 as Steven Ritters got promoted to third right at the line. Others in front of him sputtering to a halt at the very end, and our highest AM finisher. So that's your AM winner for today. On the overall podium, Byron Daly from 20th to 4th. Pat that man on the back as Michael Coffray followed him home in 5th. Raymond Day was P6. You've got Dave Peterson finishing P7. Dave Michael Broomhead, unfortunately, an unforced error at the end slipped him from 5th down to 8th. Takeshi Kita was P9. We told you he'd make some inroads. He went from 18th on the grid, and Tyler Scarali finished 10th.
Brett Barrett came home in 11th, followed by Matthew Gunderson and Jonathan Almanar, with Daniel Barrett and Johnny Luna rounding out your top 15. James Carter came home 16th, and Tyler Gore was behind him with Donald Olson 18th, and Alex Fournier, a lap down after that early race incident, came home in 19th, and David Hebert rounds out your top 20.
Manuel Vargas a lap down in 21st, Sean Duhamel in P22. Then you got cars 2 laps down with Gowan 23rd, Armando in 24th, and Cadence Presley in P25. Kenny Brown had a rough day out there and was 3 laps down in 26th with Owen McLaughlin 27th, Chip Michaels 28th. Adam McDonald finished the race from 29th position. From there on down, it was pretty much all DNFs, except for potentially Joey Tebbin. Not sure if he saw the checkered flag in the end, because I know he did try and get back out there to run some laps. That does take us to our winner here, David Holland, who has thankfully sorted out his internet gremlins and has gone from pole to victory. David, that one looked like a solid race.
Yeah, hey guys. Yeah, it was close in qualifying. I knew the race was going to be about just getting off to a good, clean start and minimizing mistakes. Not sure what happened to Alex. I looked back pretty early in the race, and I guess he had some sort of issue. So then it was kind of just down to me and Rod, and he kept me honest that whole race. So yeah, happy to see Delta Sport bring home 1-2 tonight.
Absolutely. So that's going to extend the championship lead that you guys have over at NinjaTrader Esports. How much do you give to the team championship? Is it more important to you guys than the solo drivers championship, or is it kind of on par?
I'd say it's pretty much on par. I mean, we're definitely, if the opportunity presents itself and if we're in a close battle for the team championship, we might start seeing what we can do to help maximize the points. But I think until then, we're kind of just focusing on our own drives and just seeing kind of where it ends up and plays out.
The next round being at Hockenheim, and that one having seen some chaotic races in the F3s before. How do you feel heading into that one? Do you have confidence, or are you a little bit wary?
I really haven't done too many laps there. I was actually just sitting down and doing some laps right before this race at that track. So getting the feel for it, there's definitely a few incident-prone areas, shall we say, at that track, especially in the F3, some heavy braking zones. Turn one's kind of interesting. So it'll definitely be about surviving the opening few laps. But then after that, the track's awesome, and it's a great track for these open wheelers.
Certainly puts on a good show. Congratulations. Anybody you want to thank for today's win?
Yeah, I got to thank the team, Delta Sports, and all the team sponsors. Move Up, Race Factory, Freedom USA, Unified for Kids, Get Stuck, Driven Texas, and Extreme Sim Racing. Also, shout out to you guys at GSRC and the League PRL for putting it on. Thanks, guys.
Great stuff there from David Holland, our winner here today. And our winner in the AM class was Steven Ritters, but he was also on the podium overall. DJ's caught up with him.
Indeed. Well, Steven, that was a pretty eventful race there for you. Talk me through your emotions when you came around that final set of corners and saw Michael Coffret slowing.
Well, I was seeing the Delta go down and down and down. I thought I'd be able to catch him before the last chicane, but it ended up that he slowed at the exit of the chicane. I was able to pass by him, but it was butt clenching for sure.
Well, I get that. You also had some pretty fierce pressure for the majority of that race from behind you from Michael Broomhead in the second stint. Talk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, I knew he was faster in the straights. It seems like he was trimmed out a little bit more for speed down the straightaways. And I was gaining some speed through the S's. So I just got to make sure I hit my marks on the S's and hold on for the rest of the lap. He kept me honest most of the time, though.
Well, obviously, this is going to put you in a pretty good position for the AM Championship. And as we head into Hockenheim, is that where your eyes are starting to set in that top step of the AM podiums?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good chance in the AM Championship if I keep myself my nose clean. Hockenheim, just like Suzuka, kind of plays to my strengths. So hopefully I have a similar result next week.
Well, we'll be watching for sure, my friend. Anybody you'd like to thank for this third place run here today?
Yeah, my wife, Shannon.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Steven. That was Steven Ritters, your third place finisher and your winning AM driver.
And the good news is that that AM win actually should finally put him out of the negative points, I'm pretty certain. So congratulations to Steven Ritters for turning that season around in a big way. But that's going to close us up as we give some thank yous to our sponsors, which include ASR. They design and build the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. Visit them at advancedsimracing.com. Also, RaceLab. It helps you to improve your driving skills. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing at thebuttkicker.com. As well as SimMSA. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net. And finally, NinjaTrader. Visit ninjatrader.com and get started with a risk-free trading simulator to start tracking your performance. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed on your screen. And additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our beautiful music. Check out our Bandcamp for more awesome work. Thanks to the team today, DJ, Rob, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Check out our merchandise store, too, at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet so you don't miss a moment, because as we said, the next race is Hockenheim, Thursday, October 14th at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.